Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Good Dota TV. That would be embarrassing.
Dire team pick. Radiant team pick.
Lycan.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick.
Tidehunter.
All right, ready? All right, we're gonna come back just a webcam, then I'll very quickly throw the draft after we introduce ourselves. Good to go. Yep. 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome everyone to the DPC CIS Lower Division, presented by ESL One DPC Strike, and with me virtually also in the next room is Mr. Avo Plus. We are going to be your casters here for the Lower Division of the CIS Season 1 here, so really excited. And our first draft already underway, so we'll just go ahead and switch on with that one real quick.
Dire team back.
Esports versus PuckChamp. Very exciting game. Particularly, I'm a big fan of the Gambit squad. I have been for a while, but I am a fan of their players. Particularly, I've a lot of players actually came up when I was casting back in Tier 3, Tier 2. Blizzy particularly, as I followed No Lifers forever. I used to cast them whenever they won. Like, I think they won 6 Dota Cups in a row back when I was casting them. It was very nice. I do have something to announce.
Team ban.
Stand-in today, in case you guys want to know.
Oh, that's
yes.
right.
So, PuckChamp is not playing with Ayn. You guys remember him mostly from Singularity. He's position 5. They're going to be playing with Pupper instead. So, interestingly...
Actually, by the way, his name is Ayn. Not I.
Yep.
No problem.
So,
but we won't see him today.
We won't see Pupper, which is interesting because Pupper is actually a carry player, right? And even more interesting, Pupper is actually one of the people that came up in the Kyrgyzstan sack, which Blizzy was a part of. Blizzy, the off-laner from Gambit Esports. There's a lot of history between them. Pupper was their original carry. He's also played a bit in with alternate attacks back in the day. He's had a pretty decent history, but didn't quite make as much as Zayak or as Blizzy, which really showed their power afterwards. Yeah. I'm not really sure if he's going to be playing 5 Pupper because, again, he did used to play carry. He has moved recently to other positions. He hasn't been so successful finding teams. But it's going to be interesting to watch nonetheless, especially because of the history he shares with some of the Gambit.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of contrast that with how new of a squad really PuckChamp is. You were mentioning Blizzy. I think Blizzy alone might have more professional games than almost everyone on the side of PuckChamp. I think with the notable exception of perhaps Astral, who has by far and away the most experience on PuckChamp. So I'm kind of curious because Gambit very experienced roster, PuckChamp though very new blood. So I'm really excited to see how this match plays out and just how the league dynamic plays out. You know, a lot of these new teams, especially over in the C region, especially when like a new player or old player like Mushi go on different stacks, it takes a while for some teams to quote unquote figure out their play style or figure them out. So there may be a little bit of a honeymoon period, but PuckChamp is a generally quite strong team from the very few games I've been able to see them play. So I just wanted to contrast that with the very storied history of Gambit.
Yeah, Gambit. I mean, a team that.
True.
Some of their stronger teams, I would say. See, XSZ have been in the team for a bit, and I think they're some of the strong players in the CIS reach. I'm kind of surprised to see them again. Them at Division 2 because I do find they're perfectly Division 1 players. As you mentioned, PuckChamp are the kind of like newer blood that came when the reshuffle CIS happened like a year and a half ago, where a bunch of new blood came by with teams like Unique Nova, Tiberium Seed, all these teams that before were like at best considered amateur, started getting chances to play in Tier 3, Tier 2 tournaments, and a lot of new blood came into the scene. So it's gonna be an exciting matchup for sure. We're seeing a lot of the meta carries coming out. Right? The Monkey King from Gambit Esports, perhaps considered one of the strongest carries out there with Wraith King of the meta, and then the Lycan, which is also a very abused carry in the meta currently, as the the Feral Impulse buff really made it hero again. Like that was, you remember seeing it as a Lycan player myself. I'm a big spammer of the hero, and I was like, yes, he's back. It's so much easier to play him. You have so much more variance with the hero when it comes to team fights, and also when it comes to optimization. The hero just gained a lot of flexibility, which it used to have, which made well, very, very popular.
Zoom metas is still particularly strong with them, especially because even though Necro did get nerfed a while ago, I think almost a year ago, my goodness. But even since then, they've changed the hero damage to, they've changed the damage type of Necro units to hero damage, so they end up doing a little bit more damage to most things in the game, actually, especially heroes. So that combined with what you're doing with the Feral Impulse buffs kind of brought him back. And already, and Tidehunter as well, just another very strong offlaner.
Particularly against
almost
Lycan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of anti-Lycan strats here. Yeah, Monkey King and Tide are very good against Lycan. I think that's also part of the reason why I picked him. But a lot of Gambit is just destined to make this Lycan from Wolf into a dog, right?
Just short of
the Monkey.
Just short of any, or sorry, just picking the Mars, I was going to say, which is the traditional hard counter, right? But they know this is something you have to address,
Indeed.
as you were saying.
So the Monkey King is good against Lycan because once you get down your Bunks command, it's impossible for Lycan to go inside. So it's like, yeah, I create movement speed, but CM and Mirana can just cower in fear inside the statues, and they're fine. Tidehunter reduces his damage, drive is really easy to catch this guy with CM with a freezing field, since Lycan carries no stuns. It's also really hard to kill her to add bonus armor. Like, you have a lot of options, and both CM and Mirana are great at destroying creeps, so it's great for the zoo that Lycan runs. I mean, it's gonna be a tough game. Just one like that PuckChamp pick a Storm, and not even a Timber saw two potential secondary win conditions for the lineup, right? But Gambit immediately responded to the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, it's a strong SF game, and that's going to be one of more Lornoff's more played heroes.
Yes.
He really does. He's been playing a lot of the TA. The TA, though, not too strong. This game, it might have even been banned out. But yeah, going with the SF instead. He's just actually passed his 69th game. This will be his 70th game on hero overall. Freshly looking at stats before we start.
Yeah, it's exciting as well because Melis, back when he first, probably one of the, I would say maybe older players from PuckChamp. He's not that old. He's been in the scene for quite a while together with Astro as well, and he kind of made his first splash of the scene, particularly at Tersa. He really does like playing these heroes a lot. He's actually technically still in Gambit in terms of the. He's still owned by Gambit, but he's being lent towards PuckChamp, which is interesting. So if Melis leads this charge against them, that's gonna be very good to see.
It's a lot of the CIS style of roster swaps, right, on how they happen, and it's very interesting in the way it's done. I highly encourage you. Usually, I think like the Navi CEO puts out a lot of very interesting videos in English, especially like kind of recounting some of the tales. They're really good stories. But that's something I'm really excited personally. I'm getting to cover some CIS Dota is seeing a lot of these former players and teammates that play against each other in what is then going to be this new TPD format.
It's true.
Looking forward to it.
Especially because the CIS region is a region that had for a really long time they reshuffle very similar to the Chinese region where you have stacks. A bit of new blood and a bit of old players, right, to bring the experience in. But the issue was that they didn't have leagues to really keep the consistency. They had a lot of, regional tournaments, but not big enough for these kind of international teams to participate in. And we're starting to see a bit more of, with these DPC leagues, hopefully the consistency that CIS deserves and needs to start producing more top teams again, right? Because until now, it's really been, at least in the international scene, really, it's been Virtus.pro plus one or two more usually, but not as much as you'd expect from such a powerful region. I mean, CIS loves Dota. Yeah, it's one of the regions, I would say, together with Peru, that has the biggest Dota culture in there.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I think there's a few countries in C that would contend there. The Philippines.
That's true.
As well, right? I mean,
they do have a show. I Married a Dota Player, which was on national TV for 2 seasons. So yeah.
Really? Where was this?
On Philippines. Or it was.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it was like supposed to be a comedy show, and I married a Dota player. Like, I screwed up. Sure enough, married a Dota player. I guess I'm not really sure. I saw a bunch of ads for it, and I was like, this is the weirdest thing in the world, but I never actually got a chance to watch.
That's hilarious. Sounds like my dating experience. Either way, though, getting right into it here as we're about to hit the horn. But no one really contesting for runes. There's a lot of first blood potential from this Gambit lineup, especially when you have potentially Frostbite into almost a guaranteed arrow. So everyone's just going to be playing it extremely safe here to runes apiece.
Okay, so we do see the Crystal Maiden going for the Crystal Nova first, right? So one of an older build. You've seen a bit of variation on this hero, gain a lot of popularity these days, but people now are starting to abuse much more her laning stage. So instead of maxing the aura as you used to always do, for years and years in Dota, some people are actually only putting the single point in aura, maybe some 2 points, and then maxing Crystal Nova Frostbite early, depending on the game, just to really take advantage of the early game power spike of a Crystal Maiden. We'll see. It is also one of Aina's best heroes as well, so yeah, maybe they're bringing the spirit of him with them.
Yeah, of course, and just watching Pupper there block the camp, so not going to be able to get any pulls off. Generally, you see the Crystal Nova build against something like a Lycan, funnily enough, just because he brings too many summons to the table, but they're going to be running the Mirana top lane instead.
Of course, because Mirana is not as great against Lycan early, but once he gets Helm of the Dom or Necros, Mirana is amazing against them, right? The insta-kill on the creeps is fantastic, and I think she just does a bit better in harassing the Grimstroke as well. So, I mean, it's one of X's Vampire's also Stark heroes. You went for Gush level 1 on Blizzy. They're putting a lot of pressure on Grimstroke. They know they're not going to kick Lycan out of lane too easily, but they should be able to kill Grimstroke if he messes up. Just like that. First blood, very simple. Very good arrow as well.
Yeah, well, that one's granted thanks to the ward. I was about to point that out, but looks like he's going to point it out with the Oh, nice little arrow there for first blood. Just amazing harasser. Mirana, just one of the more powerful heroes, probably for like, what, 2-3 years now for just so many reasons. Actually,
please nerf her.
In
Please.
7.28, and it's no surprise to see why. I mean, with rapid attack rates, and you've got now the Gush minus armor, even Lycan starting to not have a very fun time here. That's a dead warrior as well. It's a really, really tough start to this game here for the Grimstroke. No more passive roll here for a little bit of time. That one really, really hurts.
He finally has a single point of Herald Impulse, which has got incredibly buffed at level 1 as well, so now it actually gives you, not in the last patch, but you know, gives you a bit more regen, which makes it a bit more valuable, just have a single point in it. But he's also staying very close to his tower, because with the Gush and the physical attack damage, a Lycan just can't really tank a Tidehunter. So while you stay near the tower...
Whitestone as well of Mirana.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough. Yep, you get the +1 armor, you get +2 HP regen. You can see even Grimstroke's trying to trade with the Mirana underneath the tower, but it's just too much minus armor. It's just too much damage. What do you do?
I mean, this hero is just really dumb. And then she's like, all right, well, I mean, I guess Mirana's not that great at doing other things, right? Nope. She can also rotate amazingly, defend the mid push by killing the catapult, can deal with most heroes in the game. It's just, she's
farms super well. It's ridiculous. Ruins the jungle. It's amazing. But we are going to see a mid lane rotation here pretty darn soon. This is sort of a fun mid lane, SF versus Storm, kind of a bit of one of the more classic ones. Early, probably SF favored until you hit level 6, and then it's all Storm's game for a little bit of time from there. But getting level 6 is going to be the dangerous part here for Storm, who really, really does rely on his positioning, especially when he wants to go for the Vortex Static Remnant combo. Can be quite challenging against a hero like the SF. But he's doing pretty well so far, actually, surprisingly. 18-3, so leading the SF by over 2 waves is just really incredible.
I mean, here we're seeing literally a reason. Well, actually, in the bottom lane, though, they're going for Pubber here. Has Frostbite, still no point in the aura. That Frostbite might just save his life, though. As Melis is actually in trouble. They get the passive off on Monkey King, but he's not chasing after the Timbersaw. A bit too difficult. Doesn't want to go after the Phoenix either, so gonna stop the aggression for now.
7 stick charges, even with the Orb of Corrosion. It's going to be a bit of a challenging kill, so he's going to go back focus on getting some CS instead.
Yep. Orb of Corrosion is fantastic, of course, but you are still the carry, right? So sometimes with Orb of Corrosion as a melee carry, particularly a Monkey King or, you know, Slark, Bloodseeker that can play more aggressive in lane, you forget that you're supposed to be farming, right? And you just really want to push the offlaner out, and then you miss a lot of CS. And I like Sunny's diligence, right, towards staying in the farming game.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite important in this game because there's a real chance right now this SF's not having such a great game as Pubber does.
Ooh, he might die. I think he dies here.
Fire, yeah, Fire Spirit will catch him. Nicely done there. It's a nice
and his courier dies too.
Yeah, both position 5s having a pretty tough time.
Yeah, but in this case, the Crystal Maiden, I think, feels weaker, because Grimstroke, you don't necessarily pick him to win the lane. Like, he's good for the lane, but he's not the reason why you pick him. With CM, it's all about securing your carry's farm, which he did do, though. Yeah, crit in the top lane. Ooh, walked into the air. Was trying to juke it there by zigzagging, but the drunk strats did not work there for Lycan.
No, drunk strats not working too well when you're anchor smashed and gushed as well. Just not too many places you could go. Astral down the bottom lane, does have himself the dive, and with the Fire Spirit slow, he's actually kind of aggressively here. He will die. Maybe he was going to tick down eventually, but tried to get some more damage onto the Monkey King instead of Icarus diving back. I'm not sure if he would have lived or not, but either way, now he is going to be dead.
Well played there. Usually the Monkey King struggles a bit against Phoenix because obviously reducing your attack speed makes it really difficult to get off your Jingle Mastery, but not the case here. Storm does rotate, don't try to steal the rune. Pupper will die for it at this rate. He's actually going for the second rune and just wasting the Storm's time. So he does feed a kill to the Storm, but in exchange for the bounty rune is fine. Xani though, in a difficult position as well as Melis chases him out of the lane. Now Timbersaw reaches his second point directive armor. Usually this is the turning point for most Timbersaws in lane. Now it's too difficult to kill him. It's really not worth your time.
Even with the Maiden's magic damage here, she's just not going to be high enough of a level as they'll get a second kill in this top lane. Now Lornoff making the rotation over with the Invis rune, finding the kill there. Very, very nicely done indeed. It's a pretty tough start here for PuckChamp, the way things are currently heading, but they still do have themselves a Storm Spirit who's going to be pretty strong here for about the next 5 to 7 minutes, I would say, until we get this Yule Scepter up, and then it's really going to be, I think, SF setting the pace here for a while.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do, right? SF is I think the definition of the high risk, high reward kind of hero. So if you do have a really good mid game, that's where your strength relies on. You can be one of the best space creators in the game, but it requires such a precise execution that a lot of pros are a bit afraid of picking him. That's why I like that you mentioned that lower enough is confident in the hero. That's usually the only times you ever see an SF being picked. When someone is confident enough, they know they can do well with him. But I do find that his new shard and in general the changes that he received in the last patch does help him be a bit more consistent again.
Yeah, that, and of course, this was much before 7.28, but now capping the souls at 20 instead of 36.
That made it much easier to play.
Which makes deaths much less punishing. My goodness, that was... I mean, could you imagine? I didn't play much mid lane, so... but even just having an SF on your team, oh, he died once. Guess we have to just turtle for 2 minutes while he farms the whole map until he has damage. It's so punishing. So glad to see this hero back in a very playable position.
Yeah, me too, actually. It is true that the 36 souls was kind of a remnant of the old era, right, when Dota was a bit slower. And SF is like, I'm supposed to be a space creator, but also if I die, it's GG. So,
it's GG, yeah.
Right?
It was even worse than like your TA dying once or twice in lane, because it was just, your mid, the SF could barely even go back to lane without dying against most mid laners.
Exactly, and then you had Yul Scepter, but no ultimate to use.
Blizz away. He's going to be okay now. Hasted up. SF Lornoff joining the fight. He wants to go for the easy kill onto the Grimstroke. Desperate still does have the ball lightning ready to go. Lornoff is going to have this kill easy peasy. Arrow's going to miss. Desperate still running on through the trees. Already a medallion completed here on a Mirana. Excess Vampire, though, is going to not have enough lockdown. They're going to keep chasing, though. Still have decent mana on Storm. This is a kill. It is?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. The Storm, he was just not trying to pull lightning completely because he was afraid of course, being caught out by a hasted SF. Made sense, right? Maybe the choice there. He didn't have TP, which was the right choice per se. He should have just ball lightning TP, but it wasn't available to him. So, yeah, the haste just does a lot of work, and the SF really recovering from a pretty bad mid lane. Now, top in net worth. Really happy with this. Gonna start becoming the space creator you hope.
Yeah, it was a great counter rotation as well. Johnny is starting to really suffer down here like you predicted, however. Now that we have the Chakram out, there's not really too much room for him to go. Millis should be able to get some pretty free experience here. They're going to have to make a pretty big rotation, probably including the SF with Yules if they want to try for this kill. But speaking of that Yules, we are really close to it. Maybe just a couple 2 CS here away. He's got himself a Clarity on the way as well, so he's probably going to be looking for a quick little Yules Requiem combo. His top lane, Johnny, is going to land a stun here onto Astral, but he gets off the Icarus dime, so he's going to be able to buy himself a lot more time to live.
Astral, let's see if they're going to still catch him with the Monkey King. Oh no, he's out of the map now, because Phoenixes can do that.
Yep.
Alright, well at least you do get to push here on Gambit's side, so at least you still take the tier 1 tower. But Timbersaw's doing the job of 4 heroes, and mid, they're actually killing off Lornoff here. Storm wants his revenge kill. The Ghost should just be able to finish him off. Nice Joseph to save his life though. The Lycan still wants to go in, but the Rash keeps him in place, and the Requiem of Souls. He will die without Requiem, but might guarantee a counter kill. No, Blizzy unfortunately out of mana, could not quite anchor smash Desperate before he did ball lighting away. Very well played though for the Ravage. I think it was the best out of bad situation, but they couldn't accomplish what they were going for.
That's right. Yeah, and I was about to say, you can see PuckChamp maybe trying to tilt their opponents a bit. They're saying, where were the TPs, guys? They had a +1 there. That's an easy, maybe double kill. I think SF still dies, unfortunately. But at least you get something other than, I mean, Yule Scepter reveal sounds silly, right? But he literally got that delivered at the 11th hour. That was the first showing of our Shapeshift, rather, on Lycan, our first Ravage. They didn't get anything out of it, Avo. So, yeah, no TPs. The Maiden wasn't carrying one. Excess Vampire, I'm not sure what he was doing, to be honest. Wasn't looking at his position on the map, but that's where that tip comes from. And I think Gambit are going to be kicking themselves a little bit after that one.
I mean, I think it just comes down to what I was mentioning before this happened, which is that Timbersaw alone was doing the job of 4 heroes, right? And then the Timbersaw was essentially accomplishing this trade, which made it really difficult for Gambit to play the spaces any longer. Because they're like, okay, so do we rotate heroes and then lose the potential tower and the pressure up top, right? Maybe they didn't even have to say TPs available because they ought to go top to begin with. And then it's also PuckChamp uses their lineup to their strengths. They know they have a stronger early mid-game cores with the Lycan and Timbersaw, and they're taking advantage of these by just allowing them to solo a bit more. Whereas Gambit is trying to force 5-on-5 engagements, trying to take advantage of the tide. Oh,
And not
talk
to
about
mention
Tide.
just how mobile they are, as we see Desperate making the jump down onto Blizzy. They do have plenty of detection nearby. Dust now applied. Look at the body block with the Wolves. Wolves are though quite tanky here. Only 2 points of the Kraken shell. He will be slowed down eventually. Monkey King waiting in the trees, but Johnny is not going to be able to really do much about that. He's just going to have to hop down and go along his merry way.
Yep, we will see. Blizzy maybe a bit too far in, right? I would say for a Tide.
Yeah.
I'd expect a Timbersaw to make those kind of plays, right? Because you can get away with your life and waste a bunch of time. I don't think Tide can really do that. I think Tide is also an off-laner that nowadays is played with a bit more greed in mind. And actually, losing him like that is not great.
Definitely, and actually I was just making the point that look how actually mobile, especially early, because all the mobility is tied to PuckChamp,
yes,
that they are when compared to Gambit. Really, only Monkey King has as much mobility. Marana as well, it would be unfair to say, right? And SF due to his general tendencies to build lots of move speed, but they can't really run from these engagements versus PuckChamp. I mean, how do you even do that against a Storm, Lycan, Timber, even the Phoenix is going to be able to catch up to you rather quickly. So PuckChamp, I feel like they're probably feeling very, very, very strong, with the caveat that they do not have the best team fight ultimates early. I think still you probably lose to Ravage, Requiem, even if they're both level 1, and they need to be aware of that, and I think they are.
I completely agree with you. The 5-on-5 for Gambit is a bit stronger, but the difficulty earlier, of course, is how do I get to force these fights? Yeah, which I think has been Blizzy's desperation. Like, he's trying desperately to try to accomplish something here in this map by playing a bit extra aggressively, trying to see if the enemy team will create a misstep. But honestly, well played by PuckChamp. They're not really playing into the enemy's game. It's really only Melis that is out of position. He's a Timbersaw, so there's no such thing as out of position for a Timbersaw this early, right?
And true.
They're just putting pressure in the towers while they're accomplishing, while they're getting good farm on both their cores, which are relatively greedy. And now we have Necros level 3 on Lycan, by the way, with Shapeshift ready.
Okay, we also have a Maelstrom finish now on Johnny. They're going to smoke up. They're looking for a fight here. Melis is just such a difficult kill, but perhaps now with the Yule Scepter combo, they can go for it.
Okay, let's see. Ravage, though.
Counter initiate onto Duka, but that's going to be all that just for the Timber.
But the Shapeshift got used.
Yeah,
look at this.
Lycan
walks in. Ex's Vampire could be in trouble. Wrecking Souls have been charged beforehand because they were predicting this Lycan play. But now, thanks to the Grimstone, they catch a double electric vortex. The Supernova as well. And Xani could be in trouble as the Shapeshift is just too fast to run away from it. He manages to kill Puber, but Xani, thanks to the Moonlight Shadow, is capable of just hiding, right? They say you can't run, but you can't hide. Well, I guess the Monkey King just defies that saying.
Yep. Yeah, that was actually a little bit spooky there for Gambit. Good call there on the counterplay from PuckChamp. Unfortunately, I mean, it was a 1-for-1 there, despite just about every single ulti being used and everyone out of spells. But only the Timbersaw dies and only the Maiden dies for Gambit. And it looks like Gambit, speaking of which, I want to fight a little bit more. They feel really, really strong off the back of this Maelstrom, and I got to agree with them here.
Yeah, this has been the build for Monkey King, right? We're completely replacing and taking over the previous Battle Fury build, because it does both things great. Can you fight with it? Yes. Can you farm with it? Yes. What else do you want off an item, right? It's even cheaper than Battle Fury.
It synergizes beautifully with the Ags as well.
True, yes. And that also gives you pushing power, so you get pushing power, you get fighting power, and the farming power in the same hero with just 2 items, which are not that expensive. It's great. The issue here, though, is I think they're just trying to defend the tier 1, because if they force a fight without Ravage and Wukong's command and the Requiem, yeah, I don't know. You don't even have Moonlight Shadow. Like, you don't even have the initiation.
They really needed to use everything in that engagement. I mean, hey, well played. I think they would come out on top there. Melis, once again, showing, but into the triangle they go. They're going to catch Pubber here. He's silenced up for a second. Drops a ward before he dies, but will not be able to do too much. Now, look at this. Melis perhaps in some trouble?
Well, in comes Desperate. He wants to go for the SF, showing off his Orchid as well. Can they kill him in time? Yeah, the Lycan's even joining with his units, and Lorna will die. And here, my friends, is the power of the buffed Feral Impulse. Lycan no longer requires Shapeshift early to fight, because you can just send your units in, and they can do your dirty work for you.
Yep, especially because Howl as well is global, so it doesn't even matter.
Exactly. Yeah, well, global with your units, yeah.
Global with your units, yes, thank you. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So now Lycan can actually fight without the Shapeshift, which makes it a bit stronger early, and this is what they're trying to take advantage of. However, Grimstroke in a really bad position, might just get punished here by the Monkey King. He doesn't even get the Inkswell off, he's just going to die. But no big deal, it's just support. Just killed the SF and took the mid tower. You're winning if you are PuckChamp right now.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Especially, I mean, you killed SF without using an ulti. I mean, frankly, that's amazing. You're telling me you killed a tempo mid laner without using any ultis? That's incredible. You're winning. I agree. That's going to be off the back of that Orchid, of course. We're going to be going next into our Kaya for Storm Spirit. So just looking to up his damage for now. Crit with the classic drums of endurance, which have been upgraded. Very aptly named, of course, to 8 charges. So you can use them a little bit more liberally now. Astral as well, going for the Eul's Scepter here is quite interesting. Best way to counter an SF Eul's is, well, with the Eul's of your own, though. So can't really blame him on that one. And Blizzy has another medallion. That's actually 2 medallions now on this team going into the Solar Crest for him. Looking to annoy him. He does have this Hood of Defiance, so making him, well, even tankier than he normally is. The rest of the team perhaps looking to start to push top. Blizzy looking to TP out will be able to do so, but the rest of PuckChamp, though, they found Johnny in the top lane. Freezing Field will be dropped down onto Desperate. There's going to be the Supernova, though. Johnny, turning to a tree, tries to dodge the damage, won't be able to do so. And even though the Maiden does have 20 bonus armor, she still gets eaten up by crit. Excess Vampire is next. True Sight here on the Warrior. Really know where you can go, Lauren. Also looking to turn with the Eul's combo on the Arcane Root, but the dog runs fast. Now they have finally no more shapeshift. Blizzy nearly dies, though. I think that was the last will, doing a lot of work there. And all of a sudden, Lornoff finds himself out of position. Underneath the tier 1 tower, he will go. Melis continuing to chase him down. Desperate with decent mana here. Could zip on forward. Will do so. Arrow sails through. Does not catch anyone. Down goes the SF. And they turn on to more. The Maiden doesn't have the damage. The Soul Binded up to 2. Melis now dive in the tier 2 tower. When will he stop? Not until everyone is dead, Avo. But look, Johnny's back. And he's dropping it all. This is the longest fight in the world. But Johnny, yep, there's going to be more tips out from PuckChamp.
You killed Phoenix,
get the kill on the Phoenix. So hey, you got the Phoenix and the Storm, but one heck of just, you know, I think the train is entering the station here for Gambit or something. I don't know.
That was so odd. That team fight went really badly, and then Sonny's like, I'm just going to carry you guys, literally. Wukong's command gets the only kills in that engagement, showing the strength of the Monkey King, totally. But still, we see that they're just not ready to fight just yet, right? Usually team fight lineups get stronger on mid-ripe. They're not quite there yet, and the mobility by PuckChamp is better. I got that lag too, by the way.
I got it too. I was going to say, hey, please play-by-play me, Mr. Radio Land, man. Yeah, that was just server lag, everyone.
Okay.
Players got it. We got it.
We're still in beta. It's gonna happen. They'll fix the servers when we finally release this game, right? So it's no big deal. By the way, since we're in pause, can I finally say something? I absolutely love PuckChamp's logo. Can we please get a PuckChamp with a Tokyo Ghoul face? Yes, please. We people unite. That is a great show, especially season 1. Okay, I got it out of my system. That's it.
I'm curious as to what it is, because their like their team banner has like just
it's Tokyo Ghoul, dude.
You know, PuckChamp. Listen.
It's Tokyo Ghoul, mate. It's amazing. It's great.
Oh, okay.
One day I'll show you. I'll force you to watch it with me. Do not worry.
We'll watch it after we finish the good place. I think PuckChamp's here. Desperate's going to find himself a bottled Arcane Rune, actually. Or sorry, make that Regen Rune, which at this point is probably better.
It's definitely better. As Storm, there's no better rune, dude. In fact, okay, by Storm, they go for the Mirana here, and with a Ghostly Wren, it's super easy to kill Excess Vampire. Goodbye to the Mirana, and look at PuckChamp, already 2k in the lead, pretty happy with the lineup. Melis trying to go into the high gun, cuts on the trees, hopes for the Inkswell stun. Very well played by the Timbersaw, but not quite stunning at Lornoff. Instead, they silence him. He has a BKB. He could still use it. Wrecking Souls immediately, trying to push Melis away, but oh, it's a bait. He wasn't actually going to use it. But he does force the enemy team to back out. That's how you know he's a true SF player.
That's true. Yeah, it was a zoning one. I mean, he can't really use it right now. If he uses that, first of all, he gets literally nothing out of that. He's already taken a big L by popping that 10-second BKB just to live. But there's no follow-up. There's no Ravage at that point for another 30 seconds. Now it's up in 10. Monkey King has no Wukongs from earlier. That's up in another 15. So there's just going to be no follow-up. So unfortunately, that sucks. But that's the right play out from Lornoff,
yes.
and you can kind of sense the desperation. Maybe. I think that's just being wise, because PuckChamps, they know that right now they're in a good position. Melis can just tank the tier 2 tower for days, and they're just going to be looking to slow siege here. But now all the ultis are back up for Gambit, so we could potentially see a play out from them as soon as this BKB is back up in 20 seconds.
Yeah, and Gambit needs to try to force, since they didn't have to use the Requiem there, now they have the full ultimates off, and forcing a 5-on-5 engagement would be ideal, but when you're losing and you don't have map control, it's very difficult to force these fights, except with the bait, like Blizzy's doing right now, or so it seems like, right? Lowenov is nearby, Blizzy's falling way too quickly though, and he won't be able to use Ravage in time. Now they try to hook shot to the Shadow Thing, but it's like, I'm playing Timbersaw, so they can't really do that.
Wow, that Timbersaw damage was incredible. 545 pure damage, could not purge off that silence, unfortunately, so no chance to use the Ravage. And honestly, even if he wasn't silenced, I think he probably, again, just would have taken the death. There's no follow-up. Gambit, they're at this stage of the game already where they need their team fight superiority to try and turn this game back in their favor. I think late game, they're looking a little bit better here, but for now, the problem is actually getting to that late game. And it's going to be made especially difficult here as PuckChamps will be picking up the first throw of the game here right around the 20-minute mark.
Yes, because despite all the farming that you have, your mid laner is essentially more of a space square than he is a secondary carry, as opposed to the Storm, who's very easily a win condition here. So in that sense, Gambit does suffer a bit, right? Their team fight is where they really... They don't have the carry potential that PuckChamp does, and there PuckChamp could take advantage by constantly forcing these haphazard engagements, just forcing these simple skirmishes with only 2 or 3 people, and taking advantage of the fact that you just can't out-carry them, especially not with a Monk in SF.
Look at this build, by the way, on Crit. I was wondering why he wasn't really pushing it. If they were pushing Sans Lycan, which is kind of really scary, because now with that Lycan is joined squad, they're going to push even farther. Yep, that's right, a second Orchid Malevolence.
That's really cool, actually. I like that. Wait, Blazey in trouble. Morinov does have a Requiem of Souls, charges it up. Not much damage, but the Fear does help to stop the Storm. Storm is not the Aegis though, so he might lose his first life. Not even. Supernova used defensively, and they lost cover. Still no Ravage from Blizzy. They might kill him before he gets it off. Blizzy's dead. Thanks to the silence, they guarantee a Ravageless Tidehunter as they go further. Storm loses the Aegis, but he's perfectly fine. Blizzy's forced to buy back. Ravage in hand. They only see Dukalis and the Shapeshifted Dog, but they do find the Storm. Perfect Ravage now. Stopping Melis as well. With the Frostbite, he's unable to go back home. And those buybacks work perfectly in their favor. They finally managed to turn something around. However, I think that's still a cool trade, if anything, right? Because he did force the 2 buybacks. Not ideal for them, but it's the best they could muster.
Absolutely. I do apologize about that. The game audio increased on its own. That now has been fixed. I sincerely apologize about that.
Oh, Dota.
My goodness. Oh, they're still fighting, by the way. At least they're picking up scraps at this point is really a much more apt way of saying what we just saw. I was really looking forward to that one. I thought that was an excellent fight from PuckChamps up until I saw our Storm Spirit start to ball lightning into the Wukong's command.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's going to punish you very, very hard. A nice job there on Gambit. Once again, Blizzy, I didn't see what he got stunned by. It might have been an Ink Swell, but he had an opportunity for a pretty good Ravage in that first half of the fight pre-buyback, but just didn't get the chance. He got stunned. No good opportunity, but that buyback was beautifully executed there, and they turned the fight. Gambit, again, that's why they need all their ultis up at once. That's why I've been saying it so frequently.
Yeah, I mean, right now, obviously, PuckChamp is winning. They are, I would say, playing better, at least playing to their strengths better. But there is something to be said about Blizz's Iron Will, right? Knowing that even though you're about to die, don't use your Ravage there. You know that you have a buyback, fight it to your strengths. Don't just desperately try to throw it out being useful, because it's been the second or third time really Tidehunter dies without using Ravage. And the double silence is going to make this even easier now. He does dispel them, but you deal damage before that happens, right?
Man, look at the experience from Gambit. They see no heroes on the map, and they all position themselves incredibly defensively. This is great. I just love pointing that stuff out whenever I see it. Smoke's gonna break. It's just Pubber. If Pubber dies, honestly, they're probably happy. They were hoping to find Monkey King, and honestly, they almost did.
Yes. In fact, if he had completed his Icarus dive, he was very close to cutting down Monkey King's tree. Yeah. But the Supernova does not cut down trees, guys.
It actually does.
Oh, sorry, it does not cut down trees that far. My bad. It cuts down trees in the area. Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. But hey, I think Gambit overall, that's a smoke. No one farmed during that time because it's just too risky for them. But now that they have vision and intel, a Supernova has been utilized. They're going to be a little bit more confident here in looking to fight. Asapto with the Yule Scepter combo. Blinks, BKBs, Requiems, free kills onto the sports. Thank you very much. Lowenov will take more of those to try and get himself that Lincoln Sphere that he's got queued up now.
Okay. I actually don't mind this, but like SF is going full initiation and like defensive utility, right? Blink, heals after BKB, now with the Lincolns. He's not really gonna have much damage, but usually wait, actually, before that happens, a bit of damage towards Blizzy, as they also find excess Vampire. He managed to get the silence off. Doesn't really matter because he has a TP. Blizzy, though, could be in bigger trouble. He also has his own TP, but it's very difficult against the Storm. They catch Blizzy, and Tide, I think this... Well, maybe not with a Moonlight Shadow. Do they have any dust or anything? No need.
These are core players. They don't need.
You're right. You're right. What am I saying?
AOE damage.
Dust is for noobs, right? Who miss their skills.
Speaking of which, it dies again with Ravage on cooldown or off cooldown, and I don't say that as a way to flame him because obviously there's no point in ravaging there. But I wanted to actually touch on this because you mentioned it earlier how he's got Iron Will, this Blizzy, right? Lots of experience, definitely in the wheelhouse, you can tell, but also lots of trust in the teams, right? I mean, how many times have people tilted in pubs? Obviously, pro games and pub games not similar at all, but the mentality I think can be compared. You know, oh, you died without using Ravage. Why? We could have maybe done this, and that.
Oh yeah.
And the team completely trust them. They go, nope, we know when and when not you want to use that Ravage, and we'll just go and go off of that. Especially when you're playing with someone as experienced as that, right?
You know, I said this in a cast once, like exactly what you're saying about Omega Gaming, and their support player came on my stream just to go, no, I was screaming at him that he was a noob and he was a piece of trash, and I was like, well, I guess.
Panda. By the way, they got signed, right, Omega?
Yeah, they're on no ping now.
That's right, no ping. I just wanted to make sure I had the right one. I was pretty sure it was no ping.
Sorry, essay is later, guys. I'm also doing that in Spanish. I'm very excited. But we have the CIS right now, and as you say, yeah, Gambit, experienced team, they know how to flame when this happens. I find that the issue with Blizzy right now is not so much his playstyle, but he has to fulfill so many roles. He's the counter initiation for the team. He's also their main initiation, to be honest, because the supports are not offering any sort of reliable AoE stuns. He's kind of their best dead laner, besides Mirana, maybe. And Mirana's not really fulfilling that role because she has a Spirit Vessel. She's more of a hunter kind of ganker, right? So Tide is kind of doing 3-4 roles at once, and that's making Blizz's game really difficult. So a lot of his deaths are just a result of him trying to fulfill multiple roles because of the draft they drafted.
Oh, another smoke here. They're going to catch Johnny, perhaps.
They broke the tree.
Big silence, though. Can they CC him? They can. No chance to get that BKB off. Not too much else lost, however, but Crit is going to be looking to chase that, chasing them down. As Lorna is going to counter-initiate Blizzy as well with the Ravage on top. They want this like it, and they got him. Send him to the pound for another 50 seconds. Can they get any more, though? Desperate jumping, diving the tier 2 tower. There's no Ravage, there's no Requiem, there's no BKB on the SF, but there is Pubber, and he's got the freezing field, laying it down. There's the kill now onto the Storm, but the Supernova will eventually scare them off. But very, very well worth it out from Gambit. Nicely done. Each and every single ultimate really just so important, and Gambit is showing that here.
Yep, now they're hiding in the trees, hoping for a kill on Blizzy here. I don't know about this one, yeah. That fake back with people dead. Monkey King is not there. Maybe Gambit's not getting the damage. Blizzy does have a TP available, though, as excess Vampire just dealing with Melis, making sure he can't kill off his Tide Hunter. And he didn't die. That's really great for Blizzy.
I love the Bullwhip. I think it's my favorite new item, just because you can bullwhip enemies.
Or your teammates. Did you not hear the Slacks clip when he's like, I mean, this item is completely useless, but what's great about it is that I can whip my teammates into shape. And I was like, yeah, he knows how to play real Dota, right?
That's true. I just really enjoy its use on enemies. There's our Lincoln.
It's useless on enemies, though. Don't use it on enemies. It's much better on your teammates yourself.
It's just really funny. It's just really funny is all it is. So there's our Lincoln Sphere completed for SF. Bottled Regen Rune. They're going to be happy to have that one off the table for Storm, as the Storm already incredibly powerful. Does need this BKB, though, and I think he's probably feeling like he's needed it 5 minutes ago. Not quite at the stage of regretting the Bloodstone purchase quite yet, but a couple more deaths, we are going to be getting there.
Yeah, that Storm, when you always have this dilemma as a Storm, is like, okay, if I buy Orchid and then Bloodstone, I'm being too greedy, you know? And then if you die a couple times, you know, hindsight 2020, you go, yes, I was too greedy, but it's too late to change that build around.
Exactly. And you know what? I commended PuckChamp for their early game performance when he was building that Bloodstone, and I'm not going to back down from it now. I think Gambit are just playing these fights excellently.
As a true American. Exactly. Never back down, even if your opinion is misproven.
Nope.
I think the BKB is the right choice, though. It's going to be a huge point of inflection. And as you mentioned, I don't think the Bloodstone was the wrong choice. Considering the information he had available to him at the moment and how much they were winning, I don't think it was they should expect, you know, Gambit to start team fights, like next level team fights, really. Because Gambit has been doing a pretty good job of clawing back into the game. Though they're not quite there yet. I think the Monkey King Axe will be the next big strength point, or big strong point for them. And then they should be able to fight around that.
I think we need a BKB as well for Lycan, which sounds a little bit silly, but if he gets a BKB, there's just nothing to stop him. I mean, except for Wukong's ulti, I would suppose at this point, especially because we are now actually have the Axe completed from Johnny. So that's going to be a little bit more threatening for him. Next, going into the Eye of Scotty here for the MK to build up and get some more stats, more damage, and they're going to smoke up here, on the back end of this Axe purchase. All right,
they have everything. Literally every single teamfight ultimate, and as we mentioned, the Axe purchase. They see the Timber Saw, but they know not to go on the Timber Saw. Anyone but the Timber Saw, okay.
Nope, they want the Timber Saw.
I mean, they kind of just gave up when their smoke broke. I think they were trying to back him, but they saw that there were people behind him. They're like, I like that they didn't commit, though. If they went for the Timber Saw, despite them having the Spirit Vessel, because Timber now has the Greaves, he can dispel that Spirit Vessel, and it's no longer easy to kill him.
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised we didn't see like a double smoke there from Gambit. So we didn't see like a blink, a blink Yules into an arrow sort of setup to try and, you know,
burst him down there.
Yeah, but you're totally right about the Greaves. I'm just saying we do have some arrow set up, and here comes Melis again. Gosh darn it, they don't want him. Oh, they want instead this Lycan. Can they find an arrow into the Ravage as well? They caught Melis from behind. Johnny has got the vision, and now he's got Bloodlusted here for Melis. They can kill him quite easily as well, even through the Greaves, and 2 more kills there for Gambit onto 2 very important cores. I'm starting to think that this Storm Spirit eggs, or sorry, make that the BKB is really what PuckChamp at this point is kind of looking like their last hope in terms of their power spike.
The Storm BKB is, I mean, I don't know if last hope necessarily, but a necessity at this point. I don't think they can fight without it at this point.
No, yeah, definitely.
The team fight, though, that went really well for them was Excess Vampire, got caught. Desperate, I like that he's still trying to go for these skirmish kills, because they can't really fight 5-on-5 any longer. As we mentioned, they're now got into their strong point in terms of team fight. But these skirmishes sometimes lead to casualties, like this poor bird, Astral. What will PETA say? PuckChamp just leaving the bird behind, letting him die. Well, great. Anyway, the play with the Lycan was really good because the arrow actually got blocked by the wolves. So they had that planned, and they had the Ravage's secondary stun. Yeah, so that's why he only had 1 wolf there, because he blocked with the arrow. So very well played by the Lycan, but what are you going to do against Ravage? You're going to die anyway. Yeah. So well played there by Blizzy, and they were always thinking with a contingency plan in mind. And something that Gambit does have that's much stronger than PuckChamp is their zone-out. Wukong's Command, Freezing Field, Requiem, and Ravage are all great zone-out skills. If you use them, you cannot walk in, especially with heroes like Storm, who like to ball lightning in, you know, go ham and just be super safe because they know they can avoid all spells. Not the case with so much AoE damage.
And this is one of my favorite Dota quotes to mention. You'll probably know where I'm going immediately. As Shiver said, as Puppy said, sometimes it's not about the black hole, but the threat of the black hole. And because you mentioned all of this AoE, it's completely right. You know that, oh, the SF's out of position, let's all jump them. Wait, do you have vision on the Kunkka? I'm sorry, not the Kunkka, on the Tidehunter, right? Because if you do, then great, jump him, you know, if that's what you should do. But if you don't know where the Tide is, he could very well be sitting right behind, you know, placing the bait there. He is a fish, so he's very good at that. And you could potentially just get that team fight turned on its head there. But,
I agree.
No, but you're right. I mean, it's a lot of this AoE. You're completely right. And at some point, without a BKB, even a Lycan and a Storm are not going to be able to run their way through that.
And Moonlight Shadow adds to that, by the way. Moonlight Shadow adds to that kind of sense of uncertainty whenever you go into a team fight as PuckChamp. And the reason why they weren't able to execute this early Gambit is because they had no map control. Now that the map is a bit more in their favor, you can start to see their true potential. Melis, let's see. Lornoth does not get BKB in time, and he could be in trouble. They actually burst out Lornoth completely with a double science here. BKB on the Monkey King, activates Wukong's Command, but Supernova has to complete. Doesn't stun anyone, doesn't really matter though. Wukong's Command is destroyed as they kill off the Monkey King for the first time. Can they kill off a second time? Yes, they will be able to. He is just cannon fodder. 3 cores down, 1 bot back. The support joins the graveyard as the Tidehunter doesn't really know why he bought back to begin with. He has to defend the high ground now. That's a huge team fight for PuckChamp, which should allow them to take some nice objectives in return.
Ladies and gentlemen, wards win wars. That all transpired because of this Observer ward and that Sentry ward. They knew that they were going to jump onto Melis, and they baited him perfectly. They just set up outside of vision. They easily jump in and punish the crap out of Gambit for that. Gambit, though, they only use the Wukong's Command, and Aegis, of course, so they're not completely out of it yet, but with no buyback here on SF, not back for 40 seconds, they are at risk of losing quite a few buildings here. Well, not mid anyway, because this tier 2 is still standing quite crucially, but looks like 2 lanes of barracks likely to fall. Just kidding. Casters cursed it.
I don't know.
Scares them away.
As you said that as well, it's funny because you said that and they immediately retreated, which I can only imagine they're hearing you right now and just doing it to spite you. But yeah, I think that, so the advantage of PuckChamp's lineup as well is that because they're draft, they're really good at taking any team fight and turn that into objectives due to the Lycan, really. And that means that team fights are just more worthwhile for PuckChamp, right? Like for every team fight that Gambit wins, or sorry, for every team fight that PuckChamp wins, if you want to make up for that in terms of objectives, as Gambit, you probably need to take 2, maybe even 3, depending on what stage of the game you are. So it's tough for you. So any sort of like comeback that you have is only a comeback if you never make mistakes. Any single mistake will be hard punished by PuckChamp.
That's a really interesting thing to point out. And at first I was going to try and find some way to contend you on that, but I actually
of course, as you always
agree. And that's what God put me on this earth to do, honestly, Alvaro. No, but I actually completely agree, because if Gambit win a team fight, chances are, especially at this stage of the game, you had to use at least one of your ultis or 2. And none of your ultis are like as small as Chakra, right? Like, they're all big team fight ultis.
Yeah.
Chances are PuckChamp wins a fight. Maybe they had to use Shapeshift, probably very likely, right? Supernova as well. That's about it. They're probably just ready to go again, right? You're not really waiting on Soulbind for much, right? That's not going to really help your push or anything like that. Yeah. So I completely agree. Not only, you know, the post-fight scenario, if PuckChamp wins, is so much better than for Gambit, right? Because if PuckChamp win a fight, if they lose a fight, and then all buy back, Gambit just have to run. There's nothing, right?
Exactly.
But if Gambit lose a fight and buy back and they don't have ultis, nothing's going to scare PuckChamp away.
That's why it's so important for them to really have the utmost impact with their ultimates, which I do find that's why in the beginning I would have actually gone, and I think we did say in draft, I don't know, but I like the dire draft a bit more because the ease of execution here to a large degree, right? There's a lot of pressure pretty much on Blizzy. Like, Blizzy right now is just on stage, you know, there's like his 5th grade play. He's never ever performed in front of people before. He's about to puke because the poor guy has to do so much. He has to push the lanes, make sure to be the tank in the game, but also make sure not to die, but also make sure to get the perfect Ravage. Like, Blizzy, please, you know, they're just tearing him apart with this, having a bit of an anxiety attack, this poor man. And I think we've seen it. With great Ravages from Blizzy, they can easily take team fights, but if the Ravage is just not perfect, it's very hard for them due to the mobility of PuckChamp's draft as well.
Or if he's just silenced, which sounds silly, but
that's happened multiple times.
We've got 2 Orchids, remember? Yeah, there's one on Lycan here, and there's one on our Storm Spirit, which actually both make for great Orchid carriers, because guess what? They like running in ahead of the rest of their team and silencing someone and just trying to nuke them down. It's been incredibly effective here against their Tide Hunter, who's gone for Phase Boot, so it's not like he can feasibly go for the Guardian Greaves now to dispel himself. And yeah, it's a bit of a problem. It might even be worth, honestly, can anyone build a Lotus here? As Vampire maybe going for the Mjolnir first, though?
I don't know, because who's going to build a Lotus should be the Tide, right? Tide has so much that he has to do. Maybe this game, Greaves should have been a consideration for the Tide, as just to get the dispel. I don't know. I don't think they were expecting double Orchid, though.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's really the thing that they're really having difficulties dealing with here at this point, is that double Orchid. Because, you know, I think normally your fallback is, Storm's going to build an Orchid, he's going to silence either our SF, or he's going to silence our Monkey King, or he's going to silence our Tide. Either way, he could only silence one of them, right? And then the other 2 are going to step in there, and they should be very easily able to dispatch of the rest of PuckChamp and follow up, blah, 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 right?
Yeah,
but when 2 of those 3 are silenced, it becomes a very, very difficult thing indeed.
Sorry, I was going to say, a point I want to add about the Orchids and the silences, which I thought was really clever, is that Orchid actually doesn't deal damage, by the way. When you silence, you don't deal damage. I know it seems stupid, but it's a great way to make sure you don't actually trigger that Kraken Shell. In this game, you really only have 2 sources of area damage, which is Timbersaw and Phoenix is, really Supernova. So triggering the Kraken Shell is not easy. Like, it's really easy to avoid it. Lycan can just intertwine between you, Storm can ball lining away from the Tide Hunter, right? Grimstroke, just don't use Stroke of Fate, please. You know, and you're fine. Tide will never get us to spell off. And with double Orchid, both of which don't deal any damage, you got 10 seconds with which you're fighting, which Tide can't use as Ravage. And that's all you need.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, I think maybe some people's initial reaction might be, well, isn't that bad because then they don't kill him, and then eventually he just comes back and ravages. Yes, but no, because I mean we've seen this plenty of times.
Creep.
When you're a big creep during that impact, but also if you're silenced for 5 seconds, and let's be honest, I mean Dota is a game where 5 seconds, I mean in League you go 5 seconds, that's like half the game, you know. I'm locked out for that long. In this game, 5 seconds, you're dead you're dead 5 times over in 5 seconds, right? Let's be honest.
I got that thing. I can talk to ESL now. We did the free jab at League. All right, you got it, guys. Add those $50 per contract.
I expect my bonus in the mail.
Yes.
But it's true, right? I mean, 5 seconds, you can kill an entire team in 5 seconds easily. And
particularly like in Storm, right?
Exactly. And so as long as you silence the Tide Hunter, he just stands there. He's a big creep. He's gonna solar crest someone, and that's his team fight contribution. You kill either the SF or the monkey when he's silenced, and he's not going to want to ravage when he's on silence. That's just the way the game is.
That's true as well, because you only have
a buyback or a TP point. That's the exception. But generally speaking, in a 5-on-5 engagement, that's going to be the way it's going to play out.
You only have one source of damage realistically on Gambit. Like SF is a good source of damage early, usually, but usually the whole shtick of SF is, guys, I don't need to buy any damage items, which is great, and you still deal a decent source of damage now, but you're not the main source of damage. That's definitely Monkey by a long shot. So the moment that Monkey's dead, as PuckChamp, you're pretty much safe, especially with heroes like Timbersaw or Lycan, which are relatively tanky. You need that damage. SF doesn't do enough, which is remarks the point about the Ravage you were mentioning.
Definitely.
Look at Blizzy now. He's pretending like, guys, I'm still just pushing alone. I swear there's nobody behind me. There's nobody in this high ground. I hope you don't come and check. That'd be awful.
Gambit are doing a little bit of the regular W push here. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't be fooled again. Because they're not going to be taking that bait.
Was that what he said? Exactly. I always remember.
He's got lots of quotes.
That's a good one. That was a great one. All right, Melis. He walks in. Okay, Monkey's just giving a free... Jingle Mastery, not too bad. Shapeshift, Ravage, stopping completely. Wrecking Assault, perfectly planned. And Crit is done for Melis as well. Look at that team fight by Gambit. They were not expecting that whatsoever. Blizzy got the perfect Ravages we were speaking about, and really good counter initiation by Lorna. Now also finding the Phoenix, and they can stop his Supernova from coming out completely. CM from behind will end up dying, but honestly, it's a CM. She's meant to die at this point.
Yep. That was a sensible
Monkey?
Oh,
no shard, so he still takes too long for the tree dents to reach the storm, so he can't really chase after him.
I want to point out something huge here, and for posterity's sake, I'll just go ahead and explain it like this is the first time you've seen this item, because perhaps for a decent amount of your viewers, it is. This is a new Tier 4 neutral item added in 7.28 called the Stormcrafter, which activates a mini Cyclone for yourself for 0.75 seconds. Most importantly, in this game, it dispels you.
That's very true, and it's better than Yule's because you want a quick cycle in this case, just for the quick dispel. Oh yeah, because I always see this item as being absolute trash the majority of the time, but for this game particularly, okay.
I couldn't have dreamt for a better item except for maybe the Minotaur Horn.
Yeah, and which they also got, by the way. So Ice Frog today, we know what team he's rooting for. It's fine. He's a Gambit fan. I get it.
These are great neutral items here for Gambit. Let's take a look here at the neutral items that we have for PuckChamp, as they also have collected themselves all of their Tier 4s.
Penta Edge Sword is pretty great for Lycan. Yep. It adds a bit of attack range, but more importantly, it adds the MAME. For those of you that are old Dota veterans like myself, you remember MAME from Sanj. It's really the same effect. Yeah. Literally the same effect. Well, I think it's maybe a bit buffed compared to Sanj, but it's the same idea. Reduces movement speed and attack speed. Really good for Lycan, because as Lycan, you kind of get to a point where you have to decide, should I still like commit to death push Lycan, death ball Lycan, or should I become a more real carry, right? And this game with the Orchid Assault Harass build, and BKB as well, it seems more like he's going for the real carry build, and Penta Edge Sword really helps him in that sense. Old Lycans back in the day did used to build Sanjay quite often, particularly for that.
Yeah, and I mean, you still do have yourself a very nice leveler in your backpack, so you also best of both worlds.
Yep, yeah. Leveler probably for when you want to do the death ball push, right? Yep. Initiation here for the Mirana. He has a BKB, so they only go for the Mirana for now. They want to catch the Monkey as well. Monkey standing his ground, and they can't quite kill Xani. The CM, she has a BKB!
She's going in. She's like, guys, why didn't we fight?
She also used it to dispel her own Frostbite because she knows that the single misstep by this Crystal Maiden means death.
That's great. All right, so just a buyback there from Gambit. Again, you're kind of happy with that. They're going to be able to slow down this Roche attempt. You did utilize not only Shapeshift there, but also the 9-second BKB here on your Storm Spirit. So it's 20 seconds till you have that one back up. No ultis used except for a 10-second BKB on Maiden, which honestly does kind of suck because, I mean, BKBs are really powerful on Maiden, to be honest. But I think it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, but you're a Maiden, right? So I think any team fight you come out and you're still alive at the end should be a success for you, honestly. Like, playing Maiden at this point in the game is like having diabetes and going for a Halloween trick-or-treat, right?
I mean, hey, that would be true, except you're forgetting that level 20 talent of 200 attack speed is actually very much needed against the Phoenix this game.
It's true. It reminds me of that post where they spoke what the 200 attack speed talent was for high ranks and low ranks. For low ranks is to buy Dezo, and for high ranks is to deal with wards, Tombstone, and Supernova. The two ways of seeing Dota, right? Yeah. So what I'm asking is, Pupper, where's your Dezo? Right? I know you used to play carry. Do not lie to me. You can play carry Maiden easily, dude.
Yeah, I think he probably was a little bit in the carry mentality there, popping that BKB and hoping to run it. I think the rest of the team's like, yo, baby, chill.
He's like, what are you doing, guys? Oh, okay. I see. You're afraid. You're afraid of the enemy team.
Let me at him. All right, well, here they go again. Another smoke, but Gambit very wisely
Storm
holding the high ground. Jumping in, desperate though, finding Blizzy. Blizzy will now be leashed up onto Stu. Now they're going to be looking to jump with another silence over there. It's going to be the BKB off the base. Supernova. A lot of damage, but crit right on top of him, as well as the Supernova doing tons of damage. They're working on the backline, but really all the attention in the world is onto this Monkey King. Down he goes. Blizzy pops a BKB, but is unable to really get much done. They have lost the Stormer Spirit, however, who has bombed back.
That was still very well played, particularly by the Phoenix, because we talked about how good zone out Gambit has, but we do have one source of zone out in PuckChamp, which is the Phoenix Supernova, right? Perfect positioning for them there. Now trying to sneak a quick Roshan with a Lycan. It should be possible, but can they get there in time? I mean, this Roshan's about to follow the arrow. It's the Lycan! They can fight this! Drive engineers too! That's where uses the BKB. Takes the Aegis, fights the Mirana, kills the Mirana easily. The Tide can't do anything! Lornov is forced to BKB TP because he's completely useless in the face of death. They've lost the Tide under and the Mirana, neither of which have buyback. CM is just an extra treat. Why? Okay, sure. Gambit will have to defend this with only 2 heroes, and they also lost Roshan and Aegis. That fight could have been, I mean, it pretty much might be the game-winning fight for PuckChamp.
I think it was a very, very bold move to go for that Roche call there, as you said, but it worked out beautifully then. I will say, though, just because I think I nearly missed it, SF picked up the Refresher Shard, consumed it, got a Requiem off, BKB'd, and runs on home. Will it be enough to save the day? Honestly, I don't think so, just with the push. We were talking about it earlier, but this push is just devastatingly strong here off the side of PuckChamp. There's going to be no Tidehunter for another minute, no Mirana. There's your 2 cores. I don't think they're going to be able to hold on to this one, though. SF does have buyback, but yeah, I think this is it. I think PuckChamp are going to take this game.
In the craziest of fashions, after I think the Phoenix Supernova really was what won them the game, forcing a couple bad buybacks, and then just fighting that Roshan fight. Ill-advised for Gambit. One simple mistake can lose you this game. Wukong's command, your ring is massive, but it doesn't matter if you don't deal any damage. And yeah, Timbersaw doesn't care. Look at this, the Monkey King desperately trying to force the team out of his base. Activates BKB, this will be the last fight. Supernova's been used. Monkey, back to the fountain you go, as your Ancient's about to fall. The GG will be called, and PuckChamp will win game number 1 of this series against Gambit Esports.
I mean, just very, very impressive game. This was really clean Dota.